Hi everyone. After you've owned factory rifles and you've picked up your Remington Model 700 or Winchester Model 70 or Savage, whatever, it doesn't matter. After you've owned a few, it happens to a lot of guys that they decide, well, they want to have particular features and maybe a special caliber in a rifle. So some people asked me to make a video about what's involved in making a custom rifle. So all this clutter on the table has to do with some of the things that are involved in custom rifle building. And I'm sure most of us know gunsmiths, and there are higher end organizations like the American Custom Gunmakers Guild. They have shows that I attend, and all these things that I'll talk about are involved. So on the table here, I just brought it out for an example, is a Winchester Model 70. And the reason I brought it out is it's a typical American black walnut stock. And one of the first things you have to decide is what kind of wood you're going to use for the stock. Now, as you can see, I have some wood around, which is a good idea. Wood is great. So anyway, there are of course one-piece stocks, and then there are two-piece. The bolt actions will be one piece, and the two pieces are self-evident. Of course, over time, I've seen stocks made out of myrtle wood and cherry, even oak. I had an oak stock, which they say splits, but mine didn't split. It was fine. And American black walnut, which is a great wood, and all the Winchester Model 94s, well, I guess there were some exceptions. There were some that were made out of fruit wood way back when, but mostly the stocks that you see on a Savage or on a Winchester or on a Remington, that's American black walnut. It's a great walnut. I've worked with it, and it's easy to machine, fairly easy to sand. It's a little bit softer, and for cutting checkering, it's maybe a little bit soft. And you know, one of the things that you'll notice on any wood is the pores of the wood. And one of the problems is how to fill the pores, because you want this glass-like surface. So the factories just flood the stocks with urethane or epoxy or any of a number of ways of filling the pores, and then having a finish that's more or less on the surface of the wood. Problem with having a finish on the surface of the wood is, well, you can see maybe some impacts, some abrasions, and then to fix that, well, if you sand anything, then pretty soon the finish is going to be off the surface of the wood. Then you've got to build it up. It's tricky. Can be done with spray cans and urethane, whatnot. I've done all that stuff. But it's not really an ideal finish. And a lot of times with the factory stocks, if this surface finish is damaged and you try to fix it, you find that underneath this finish is sapwood. Maybe it's white. That's actually quite common. Which is surprising, and sometimes people phone me and they say, you know, what's going on? I sanded a little blemish, and my stock turned white, and because you know the factories are fantastic. They use stains and they can put a finish on, so the customer's happy and buys. Anyway, American black walnut good. Claro walnut, a lot of people get that from California. That's I think this is Claro. I brought it out. I've got boxes and boxes of wood and stocks and things like that. It could be, it's tricky. You would think I would know by now. It could be Claro. That could also be American black walnut. Anyway, you can see it's got, you know, some tiger stripe and some figure in there. Both sides are good. I think I made this for a Model 12. This was pre-turned. I think it was made by Fajan or what have you. Anyway, and then somebody didn't want it anymore, so he changed. That, I mean, they're pretty woods. It's like, this is softer than the American black walnut. Anyhow, all of this after you've played with maple and all kinds of other stock woods. I've seen zebra wood. I've seen mesquite. Different African woods. Exotic woods are cool to look at, but in the end, the best of them all is French walnut which is can also be English walnut or Turkish walnut. Some of this is from New Zealand, some is from Turkey. There might be one or two blanks from England, and it's as you can see by the Latin, it's the king of walnuts, and it checkers beautifully. It doesn't fight your tools, and when it's finished, it's exceptional. Now this side has some shellac on it just to show the figure. Sometimes it's deceiving how nice this wood is. This is just a wet cloth. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up or not, but this is what people want in custom stocks, and this is actually not that fancy, although it's graded exhibition grade. You can see what happens when you get into the root wood. It's a little more expensive. You can see more figure in there. So this would be a 4-end, and then here you have different templates, as you can imagine, and you want the the grain to run through the wrist of the stock, so you don't have splitting. It's surprising how many stocks split in here, and this doesn't look this famous, but if you put a finish on it, and again, I don't know what the camera picks up, and you want to place your stock properly, and the custom gun maker or gun stock maker will know a lot about what to do. And you can buy these types of blanks at the SCI show or at the Custom Gun Makers Guild show, and then there are sources online. When I come across a good blank, I just tend to buy it, and I don't actually really know what's in this pile, but this is a very light blank. You'll notice that some blanks are very heavy, some are light, so you can adjust what you end up buying or using based on the density of the wood. Oh, I should mention, sometimes you'll buy the wood, you'll pay $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever, and then you'll find out in initial machining, because it's just cut out with a bandsaw, and they don't want to do everything by hand. Anyway, there might be imperfections in these fancier blanks, and that never bothered me. I thought that's natural, and they just fill it usually with Aquaglass or something like that, a bunch of different products. So I'll just set that down. And this doesn't look like an exceptional blank. It's very dark, but it won't be this dark. This is because of that shellac or whatever is on here. That's a fantastic blank. It's got some figure and rootwood. Anyway, you can spend days looking at wood blanks. It's part of the fun of having a gun custom built for yourself. And of course they'll cast on, cast off. What that is the factory guns will be straight, but a lot of times it's nicer if this buttstock section is this way or this way, depending on whether you're left or right-handed, placing your face in direct alignment with your sights. So some people request cast on, some people request palm swells. It's endless. Well, actually, limited only by your imagination and your budget. So that's the wood, and I guess the conclusion is there that if you get attracted by maple or who knows what wood, that's fine, just go with what you like. But the best one and the highest resale value, that's why I wrote it on this blank, is the French walnut. And there's been fantastic walnut coming out of Turkey for a long time now, and that's what I tend to buy. But New Zealand has great wood. And so why the different figure and everything? Well, walnut is a bit like wine. The minerals in the ground that the tree extracts and builds the wood out of over time determines what kind of shapes, what kind of colors, and so there is a difference, and you can actually tell with time and a little bit of observation what's Turkish and what's New Zealand, and English and French and so forth. And some people don't like a lot of figure. Some of the walnut ends up looking like marble, and that's great. But I actually don't mind sort of mid-grade where there's some figure, but not too much, because then you feel bad hunting with it. Oh, and getting back to the finish, what you want is a really good oil finish. So the finish is in the wood. Pores are filled, and you can imagine if you can't put a finish on the surface, how do you fill the pores? So there are a whole bunch of theories and processes, and most of them involve a lot of handwork that creates that glass finish without pulling off the urethane spray cans and all the rest of that stuff. So probably a lot of talk about wood, but worth knowing. So that's the walnut side. The rest, I just pulled these out here. Well, you'll need a barrel, and you know, anybody who does this kind of stuff is going to have bunches of barrels around. I took this one out. It's a Heim stainless Heim from Germany. These are excellent barrels. I think they're button rifle. There are different ways of rifling barrels. Button rifling, hammer forging or what have you, and then cut rifling, which means the rifling is cut one groove at a time, which is another thing to go into. I'm probably not using the right terminology. I think Krieger is well known for cut rifle barrels. Anyway, I like Heim, and you don't have to buy the blank just like this, because it's a long way from this to the Wesley Richards custom rifle, which I showed you in a previous video. So you can see how many hours on the lathe it would take to turn that down and to get this straight and, you know, without ripples and whatnot. It's a lot of work, but the factories will sell you pre-turned blanks, and that can help a lot. So hopefully we get this thing to cooperate. Yeah, so that's the barrel blank. I'll set this down just so my table doesn't collapse. And then you have to select an action. Some of my viewers, well, most of them, know a lot more about the clone actions, Montana actions, and I mean there are fantastic ones out there. I tend to return boringly to the Mauser 98, and well, I wanted to show you this rifle because starting in 45 and onward, you would just buy one of these and then spin off the barrel, and you would be left with a good 98 action. You want to try to find one that's reasonably well finished. But now it turns out that, probably don't cut these apart, and for parts, they're worth a lot in their original condition. So I usually try to find one of these, which is somebody's idea. There's not much left of the original military Mauser, but the action's still good. Somebody had an imaginative idea about doing something with a bolt, probably to fit a scope. Anyway, it's all here, and you can check the origin of the action. This is Berno. There were different manufacturers of Mauser actions, so your custom gun maker can say it's either a good one or a bad one. Anyway, these are around, and you won't feel bad turning this into a custom rifle. And you can see this is probably not the best gun unless it's a truck gun. So you just take the action from that, and the barrel I showed you, I'll move this aside, and then in the end, your objective from all of these pieces and components is something like that, and you can see that it's just a Mauser 98 that somebody has put an awful lot of work into. So that's custom gun making, and what I'll do is I'll put some links for you if you're interested in that kind of thing. I think it's a fantastic process. You sure learn a lot, and you meet a lot of interesting people, especially if you take your time in selecting the wood and selecting the caliber. And as I always say, it's good to build things and get involved in things that have real value. Factory guns are terrific on their own, but that's a different concept. The custom guns can be real works of art, and I think again, of lasting value. This is the one-piece stock I was showing you. So this would be a typical blank for a rifle that I would either build or have built, and it's got the grain through the wrist, which is good. It doesn't look fancy, but you know, bear in mind this is just water. There's no stain or anything to bring the figure out, and I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, the one-piece stocks. Let me take a look here at this thing. Oh, this one I brought out because now you can't tell from where you are, but it's a nice piece of wood. But this is an exceptionally hard, dense, and heavy blank. So if you wanted the gun to look light, but you wanted it in 338 or something like that, you could use this blank and it would not be a bulky looking gun at all, because the wood is so heavy. So, you know, that would address recoil, which can be not so great. So, you know, of course there's other stuff to talk about. What trigger, the release of the trigger, the length of pull, which is the distance from the trigger to the buttstock, the height of the comb. I mentioned cast on and cast off. There are virtually endless considerations. What scope you're putting on, the clearance of the bolt in the scope, the length of the barrel, the weight of the barrel, contouring, the sights you put on, island sights. Again, New England Custom Guns has some nice iron sights if you decide to have a custom rifle built. Anyhow, that gives you, I think, a good idea of what's involved in having a custom gun made. And as usual, I'm sure I'm missing things, but thanks for watching.